Hello, today we are going to do the big thing, moving tables. Um, this is vital for really adding a lot of cool new shit, so I'm gonna go through three separate examples. My caveat here is that to really make use of this, at this point you are going to have a non-trivial grasp of the ARM assembly involved in the games. You're going to either need the bunch of spreadsheet and research that someone else has put together or conduct it yourself. I am going to be showing and using the spreadsheets and research I've made for Ultrasun Ultramoon. I am going to be cleaning them up and releasing them at some point. Um, that said, I have noticed that the way I kind of think and organize can be very confusing, so might not be as helpful as I'd hope. Anyway, here goes. So I've already loaded and run my program. You can see this is just the output from the last test I did before I started the video. This is an almost entirely unmodified battle.cro. All the offsets are in their original locations. I'm just going to. You can see that the last time it was updated. This is actually unmodified. The last time this was modified was when I actually started the current project a long time ago now. So let's open that up. Um, so let's see. There are three different things I'm going to be doing. The first is I'm going to move the table that associates item indices with with the corresponding initial load what functions are associated with that item calls. This table can be moved wholesale. For reasons I have not yet figured out, moving the equivalent tables for abilities and moves causes the game to not function. Moving the moves table causes the essentially all animations and in battle messages cease playing. Um, the game does technically function. It just is very, very, very weird in battle, and you have no idea what's going on until suddenly the battle just ends. Um, Doing the same for the ability table just causes the game to crash when the game starts. I'm sure we'll figure out how to fix that eventually. For now, there's a workaround that I will be discussing when I get to that. But first, let's move the item table. Um, I've explained the difference between the loaded and file offsets already, so I won't go back into that. We're just going to go straight in. So we reloaded the file. We hit T because we're moving a table. A because I'm going my absolute address. Um, I'm sure there's times where I'm gonna use my other option. I've never actually had occasion to use it. I'm sure I will eventually. Anyway, so the address is just here. I can just copy and paste. Um, just keep aware that if you paste into the terminal like this, it will automatically execute whatever you did. At least if you're pasting from Excel, where Excel just outputs an enter after everything you copy for some reason. Um, and also, don't forget that at the moment it is assuming that you are entering everything in decimal if there are not any specific hexadecimal characters in there. So just be aware of that and type, the initial 0x if you need to be specific. Okay, so so I've told it we're going to start. So basically, first you tell it what address the first byte of the table is. In this case, it's here. It's the 10301 BC, 1031 BC. Now the table. We want to move the table. Let me remember which folder I need to look at to. Okay. I just put the example file here. I'm just going to open that up. Okay, so we can see that the file currently ends over here. So I'm just going to insert this table at the end of the file. It will call the other CRO expander code to add room to the file appropriately. It then asks for the current table length in bytes. Now you can enter 0 here, in which case it will not move anything. It will just repoint all the pointers, but not actually make any edits. This is almost always a bad idea. If you enter the length of the table, it will basically copy that many bytes to the new location and then overwrite the old location with just a bunch of CCs like you see over here. The purpose of this is so that if something does go horribly wrong, you will notice immediately because the game will crash, because when it tries to read where the table was, it will just be a bunch of garbage, data, all of this. That shouldn't happen at this point. I'm pretty sure I found all the at least obvious bugs, but it's a good way to catch an error. Um, Also, in many cases, you're going to want to use the space you just freed up by moving the table. So, by blanking out the table like this, it's very easy to see what room you have to work with. There are cases where you might want to just copy it wholesale, so I did leave that functionality in. You do have to enter the length manually because outside of like somehow writing a really real like a super version of Ghidra um into this program, there really isn't a way for it to like figure out like where the size of the table is defined, because there's a lot of ways that can be defined and figure, and like you really need to just go and like look at the game code where it's referencing the table and figure that out. So in this case, I figured that out. I have the length written that right here. It's this long. I'm still in the item table tab. Just want to make sure I didn't go to a different tab and screw myself up. Okay, so I'm gonna hit save and select another CRO. If you hit Y, it will just loop back to the beginning and you won't have to go through the file dialog again. I hit S just because in this case I want to save so that I can show you what we just changed in the HXD. As you can see, now this entire table has been copied to the new location. There's all these empty bytes down here. This is because, as I mentioned many times, the file size has to be exactly a multiple of 4096 bytes, so we have to add in this padding. And of course, now you can, like, if you want to extend the table, you can add more entries here. Before we go further, I'm just going to show you how you would add another item to here. I am going to do this by making a clone of leftovers. So what we would do is we would just look for leftovers over here. Okay. I'll explain like how I made this in another video, because this is because this I basically extracted from a memory dump of a fully loaded CRO of a fully loaded version of the battle.cro from Citra. So I'll go over this there. You can figure this out. You can figure all this out from doing research in Ghidra. This is just a lot, faster and easier. It's, mostly automated. So in any event, we would go here. You see that leftovers code is this. And we would basically we would go into PK3DS. We would find, let's say, we would want to find like an unused key item from a previous generation. Or honestly, it's usually simpler to just use a question mark item. You can see I've already like I've used two of the items of the unused items yet to Grisiosorb to already like insert covert cloak and loaded die into my ROM hack. So I'm just gonna go to item ID 115. See, this is totally blank. You would want to fill in some of this stuff. I just, in this, if you're supposed to be making a leftovers clone, you just copy over the data from leftovers. But most of the stuff here doesn't really matter. I don't no idea what this stuff does. It probably does something. So I just like look for a similar-ish held item and just copy the data over. The only thing that probably really matters is fling power, cost, and a couple of other things. So that's not a big deal. So you see you have plenty of room here to insert lots of items without even having to, overwrite like unused items. I'm just going to, I'm a little bit of brain fog today, so I'm going to just check what it is. Okay, so this is, so let's say we're going to turn this into a leftovers clone. So the first 4 bytes have to be the little endian of that index number, which is just 80, and then 3 more zeros. These 4 zeros, we just zero out. Technically speaking, we don't need to zero these out because these are going to be overwritten by the patch table, but no reason to make it confusing for ourselves. Okay, so the next thing we need to do. Okay, so this is step 1. We just put in the bare bones of another entry into the item function table. Second thing we need to do. No, it's not that, because I am in the wrong spreadsheet. I have I have so many spreadsheets. Okay. This is my table. This is another table I made. So these are the functions that actually, so these functions are the ones that actually like look up this initial table. For items, there are two. So you would need to go to each one. Actually, so the way these work is that at some point in the in that function, there's literally, it just checks like how many. It's there's just a check like, how checks like, okay, am I at this number item, and if I am, I've run out of items in the table, so n. So you would just need to like increase this parameter so that like, it's matched the size of your table. Here we added one item, so we would need to add one to this. So we would add one to this. 1 plus bf is c0. And then just go to the other function, also c0. You can see here I just have this is just reference to myself, so I remember what function it is for later. This is just my own. This is from my own ROM hack, just keeping track of like what my current values there are. And this is also stuff because like, a lot, I've inserted a lot of stuff, so like a lot of addresses have moved around, so you don't have to worry about that, at least not until you've learned a little bit more. So now we've increased the table size in the function so it knows to look at that additional entry. The last thing we need to do is actually like is actually add in a line to the patch relocation table so that it writes the correct address once the CRO loads. For this, we're going to need to do another step with this program. First we are going to need to, conveniently the relocation patch table is the very last thing in its segment, so writing new code to make it bigger was not so hard. So you see, if you've used this program before, you'll see that now if you hit the S option, there's a new option, relocation patch table. So just hit R. It will ask us how many pages here. We only need one. That's more than enough. And we want to save. And I just realized I forgot to save before I did this. So I probably just undid all the edits I just did. I'll just have to run and redo those. And the whole thing crashed because I forgot to save and it was very confused. So we're just going to have to restart this. I actually just finished fixing the code. I haven't even like bothered like putting it together into an exe yet. Which is why I'm working with it like this. Okay, yeah, it was just because I hadn't saved it, so it was confused. I had it open in memory. So we had just added the new section, which also just moved everything around. So now if we go here, 1 second, I actually have a note of this somewhere else. Close enough. Okay, I have just pull up my. This is all of my notes on locations of like different tables in the CRO. So the relocation patch table, the offset is at these bytes 128 in the header. That's the first one. The second one is this is the number of patches. We're about to add one more patch, so we're actually going to want to increase this by 1 while we're here. And we're going to want to go down to now conveniently this is the last thing before portion circle, so we can really just go down to 1380 60. Yeah, so this is the start of the table, so we can kind of just jump over there. This actually, most of these values here are for my current edition of my ROM hack, where I have a lot more stuff inserted, so all of those addresses are not accurate to this example file where it's, yeah, see this is the patch table. You can see there's a lot of entries here. The stock game has 8,232, so just page down for a while until we get to the end. Because we just inserted, you'll be able to tell when you hit the end, because you'll hit a whole bunch of, we just drove right past it. There we go. Nice big table of OX1000. Yep, there we go. So this is our new patch table. Well, not our new patch table, but it has like room for a lot of new patches. So each patch table entry is exactly 12 bytes long. So unfortunately, it's not too hard to do this. I'm just going to temporarily delete, like, these are just notes from my own ROM hack. So basically, these 3 columns, this is going to be pretty easy to use. So these 3 columns, these don't actually do anything. This is just notes to yourself. It's just, what is this particular patch doing? In this case, it is, to call the pointer to the item, to the, it's this calls, this sets the, I mean, this is just my own notation to myself, but this is the, just a terminology I just kind of made up for, like, this is the pointer to the function that loads the pointer to the table where the actual functions for the thing are stored. So this is going to be a new item. Let's, fake leftovers. Target is the regular leftovers function. The first patch, this patch is at this address 13AD60. Now we just need the address we are writing to. Let's just jump down there so we can make sure we're doing the right thing. This is address 013D5F00. You don't need these leading zeros. I just like having everything aligned because I'm insane. So like you see, I even like have it in Cambria, so everything's like fixed with. And now we just need to edit the pointer. So to get the pointer, we just want to copy whatever leftovers has, so we get the same effect. You can see that here, so just copy and paste as value because this is a function. And this is the output we need. So all of this right here is just functions to like all of this is just functions that just like take these three things and like figure out exactly where everything needs to be. This does reference some, okay, I might not have put it in yet, but this does specifically need to reference exactly where your segment starts are, so you will have to like paste it. So like in my release version, there will be a little thing where you basically have to paste in a chunk of information from your CRO, but like that'll be straightforward. It'll just be like, look at this address, copy the value there, go to the address that value is, then copy a chunk of stuff. So pretty straightforward. So then you would literally just go, then we just go back to this address, select these 12 bytes, copy and paste, and that's it. Now all you would have to do is in PK3DS, you would just need to, give this item a name in game text, edit whatever these values and questions such as needed, and then, edit the shops or, wild hold item or something to make it available in the game, and you're done. Okay, that's items. Next is the more complicated thing. So we're just going to save this because we might as well just keep that going. Next is the more complicated stuff. So because, as I said, we cannot actually, at this time, successfully move ability and move tables. So what you have to, so fortunately there is a decent workaround. Basically what you're going to have to do is figure out, like, how much room you have after those. So for example, after the so you can figure out like where your last regular move call is. So this is the last item in this table. Let's just go there. So after this, as you can see, I've already like worked out what some of these are. You have like a bunch of function calls for moves and so on and so forth, and just kind of going down. So what you would want to do is basically figuring out a safe place to like cut off. You're really going to need to use like a loaded Ghidra like I have here, loaded with like from memory. Because you're going to want to make sure you're not going to cut off any table like midway through. But what you would want to do is essentially figure out like, okay, like I'm going to take this section, copy and and then and then figure out that the equivalent start in the unloaded game file. So in this case, this starts over here at 106.888. And let's say we want to go to let's say we want to go, because I can see that this is the start of some other table. So it doesn't, you can move as many as it seems you can move any tables except for exactly this move and ability tables. The important thing is to just like obviously copy an entire table. If you copy half the table, the game code will get very confused. Bad things will happen. So I'm just gonna type in E3BD8. Oops, wrong place. Okay, so I am going to cut off at, actually wait, so I need to actually enter the address where that next thing starts. Okay, so I am basically going to, I'm going to start with the table. I'm going to move all of the tables of, because these are all tables, these are all either tables, as I've spoken about previously, of timing bytes and actual function calls, or tables of values that are called by some move, you know, to as some part of their code. So essentially, we're going to use the same exact table moving function. It can move a bunch of tables at once, and when it does that, it will move all pointers that point to anywhere in the range that we're moving, as well as any pointers that are written to that range. So everything will just be moved dynamically, and everything should work. So let's go. Let's see. I believe I have this open, trying to reopen this, so I just need to grab that, just make sure that's saved, select. Okay, here we go. So we're going to hit table, we're going to do A for absolute. Okay, so we're going to pull everything from 106.888. We are going to move them to the very end. We're going to move them to 13E000. And we just need to figure out how many bytes this is. So, you know, you can use Excel, you can just use a calculator, it doesn't matter. 106 BDC minus 106.888. That is hexadecimal 334 or decimal 820. And you see we just moved a whole bunch of pointers. And we are going to save and save. And yep, okay. Yeah, we have all of this stuff moved here. And this gives us 334 bytes of RAM, of space to essentially write more tables of our own into. In this case, we would be writing in we would essentially use this to write in additional function calls for moves. So let's just continue and just do an example of that while we're here. So we're going to go over here. And you can see now we have this nice big thing. I would recommend that after you do this, you do just like double check and be like, okay, did I actually move what I wanted to move? Did I screw something up? 888, I am in the wrong spot. I need to move forward. Now, because everything is aligned to 4096 bytes, the last three digits of the address here here were like it's the first bit of the table you didn't move, it ends in BDC. That will be the same here. So that does make it a little bit easier to just make sure we're actually in real places. So just gonna jump over here. Okay, so I just want to make sure that 25 to 25 2D. Obviously, these are all zeroed out because this is the unloaded version. But we can see that it looks like everything lines up properly. So I am not concerned that we fucked anything up. So we're going to proceed with doing an example move insertion. So let's see, what do we want to add? So this is really going to be the same exact thing as inserting an item. So we're just going to go over here. See, this is that's mind blown. So here we would also just, let's unsee these. Let's say we want to add an effect for, I don't know, what do I feel like? Let's add it. Pound really could use it, but let's be nice to pound. Let's give pound an effect. So, same exact thing. We would put a 1 here. We would go up here, and 1, 2, 8. We would need to increase this by 1. We would go to the patch table. Let's see. We would need to copy that down 1. We're going to do a call move pointer pound, give it the effect of I don't know, let's just do something crazy for fun. Nature's Madness. So we would need to this to point here. Patch address is, oh, actually, okay, normally this will actually just have a automated function request there, like, sequential, but just need to add C. Write to address. I was just there, is going to be should be this. Yep, okay. So it's going to be 00106888, and we're done. We just need to go over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, sorry, one more step. We're going to want to paste this here. And then we just need to update the size of the move index table. So we need to go over here. This is where the pointer to the table itself is, and here we see the 5701. We need to change that to 58, and we would be done. And now we just gave Pound the effect of Nature's Madness. Let's see. So that was number 2. Number 3, we're going to show you the shop tables, which are something of a nightmare because every single store has its own separate table, even though they're all smushed up next to each other. So actually planning out what to do is a little bit of a nightmare. Like, I can barely follow what I did, but okay. Basically, just gonna go to the left. The actual items are very edited. This was already like loaded from my ROM hack, but besides the point. So, just going to open up the shop table. See, I can delete that. We're not going to need that anymore. Okay, that's, I think, the pre-edit shop table. So in Ultrasun Ultramoon, that starts over here at 50 BC with the 0 trials. Each single shop has its own header. I'm sorry, is its own table reference. Moving them all together doesn't really help like it did for the previous thing, because like then they would still all be stuck next to each other. So what essentially you have to do is like actually like work out, and probably in a spreadsheet, exactly like what items you want each shop to have, and then figure out which ones you need to move so that none of them overlap each other. Move whichever tables you need to do. For example, let's say that I wanted to let's say I wanted to make the 7 trials have twice as many items. Let's just use that as an example, just so we can just show the procedure. So, I'm just going to restart this. Debug, restart. Okay, so we're going to open up our backup shop, which is unedited. We're going to move a table. I'm going to move the 7 trials table, which starts at 5198. Oh, make sure to put in the OX so it's not confused. Now this is 22, has 22 items. Each item is 2 bytes. That's 44 bytes. Okay. Oh, okay, because I just jumped the gun and told it to start the table at an invalid address instead of at the actual end of the file. So I'm just gonna tell it I actually want to put that here. Now we enter 44. Okay, we just it just updated a single reference that loads the table. We're going to save let's just save this as temp.cro, and then open temp.cro. As you can see, this has another 1,000 entries. Well, OX wants that 100, not actually 1,000. And these are the 44 bytes of that table, of the 7 trials table. So let's say I wanted to add some items to it. Just, so I don't make myself crazy, I'm literally just going to copy and paste the same item, so it has every item twice. Obviously, if I wanted to, actually put in items, I would have to type, you would have to type in their item IDs, each 1 2 bytes. Now there are 44 total items here. Now that takes care of moving where the shop's table starts. We just need to update like how long the game, how many items the game, how many items the game will actually load starting from that address. Fortunately, unlike with the move ability and item tables in Battle.0, here there is actually a table of like all the sizes. Well, not a table actually. Um, the move tutors are one table, the BP items are one table, and then all of these are one table. So there's actually a whole bunch of tables. But anyway, we want to go here to this address. This is the 22. This is decimal 22. So we just doubled the number of items in that shop, so we need to double this. So double this is 2C, and we'd be done. Now, if we were to load the game with this CRO, patching over the regular one, we only had past 7 trials. So obviously, the shop would have 44 items. The entire list, and the entire list again. Um, Now you will definitely want to like make a spreadsheet or some kind of notes to yourself of exactly what addresses you've moved which tables to and what items you have there. In particular, because PK3DS does not know anything about any patch relocation tables, so the Pokemart editor literally just goes to this absolute address, whatever the absolute address is for the ROM you're dealing with, that it has hard coded, and just tries to load everything from there. So once you've moved the table, it will not see the new locations, and if there's any invalid data there, it will just get very upset, as you can see. So like as soon as you move any of these, you're never going to be able to use the Pokemart editor in PK3DS again. I'm sure at some point somebody will just code it to actually look at the patch tables and dynamically find the shop tables. It probably wouldn't be too big a deal. Just someone would need to do that. Um, and that's, I believe, all for today. So good luck.